Welcome to today's presentation on Cabrillo College financial aid options. Higher education is an investment for your future, and financial aid is a way to ensure that everyone has the opportunity to advance. The first step in qualifying for financial aid is applying. You do this online through FAFSA, which stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. You go to their website at fafsa.gov and make a new account. Each year that you attend college, you will need to reapply for financial aid. You will use your same login and password each time, so make sure you keep track of your information. AB 540 students can apply for FAFSA through the California DREAM Act. During the application process, students can apply for aid for up to 10 schools at a time. This does not mean that the student will be attending 10 schools at the same time, but sometimes students apply to multiple schools and they are unsure of where they will attend. When you apply for financial aid, you can enter in multiple schools to potentially receive aid for. Then, once you decide where you will go and you begin to incur a cost, that's when your aid will become active. Usually, your aid is distributed near the beginning of the semester, when classes start. Some schools may require additional documents before students can qualify for financial aid. For example, the DREAM Act requires students to verify their GPA, or grade point average, before they can receive aid. For example, the DREAM Act requires students to verify their GPA, or grade point average, before they can receive aid. Other schools may want additional information as well. Organization and communication is key to make sure you receive the aid you qualify for. As I mentioned before, each year that you attend college, you will need to reapply for financial aid. You'll want to reapply each year before the March 2nd deadline for priority filing. This way, you will apply for the maximum amount of aid possible. If you cannot meet that deadline, then still be sure to apply because you may still qualify for aid. When you are applying for financial aid, make sure your tax information for the IRS is handy. You will need to refer to the money you earned that year, along with other financial information. This helps the agency who is distributing the aid to understand how much you are expected to contribute and how much you need in order to cover all your educational costs. If you are filing your FAFSA before the March 2nd deadline and your taxes are not complete yet, since they are not due to the IRS until April, then still file your FAFSA and just make an educated estimate of what your tax information is. A few months later, FAFSA will contact you again to make sure your reported IRS figures are accurate. The process may seem complicated at times. However, if you follow the instructions carefully, keep track of your personal information, and are mindful of important deadlines, then you should be able to take care of it all just fine. You can always reach out to the financial aid office on campus when you need help as well. They are always there to help you. Now you may be asking yourself a basic question. What is financial aid? Financial aid is money for educational expenses for a college or a career school. This money can come in several different forms: grants, loans, work study, and scholarships. Grants do not need to be repaid. They are often called gift aid. Loans, in contrast, do need to be repaid, and in fact, students also have to pay interest on loans. This means that you have to pay an extra fee or annual percentage for each year that you still have the outstanding loan. Work study is another form of financial aid, which is money earned by the student at a job, often on campus, that helps the student pay for his or her educational expenses. This money does not need to be repaid and is not taken into account in assessing a student's eligibility for financial aid the following year. Lastly, scholarships are funds that students can receive which do not need to be repaid. Scholarships are usually based on academic merit, but can also be based on a student's interests, hobbies, religion, ethnicity, and/or financial need. Here's another question. Who can receive federal student aid? Basic eligibility for federal student aid is for students who meet the following criteria. U.S. citizens or permanent residents, high school graduates or GED holders, students enrolled in eligible degree or certificate programs, those with a valid Social Security number, males who are registered for selective service, and for those who maintain satisfactory academic progress. This is not a comprehensive list of eligibility criteria for federal student aid. For more information, please go to www.ifap.ed.gov and go to the Student Eligibility chapter of the Federal Student Aid Handbook. Another resource that could be useful is www.studentaid.ed.gov/eligible. If you are not eligible for federal student aid and you cannot file for FAFSA, you may still have some options. The California DREAM Act application is the financial aid application for AB 540 eligible students who have attended a California high school for 3 or more years, who have graduated from a California high school or the equivalent prior to the start of the college term, and who are registered at a California public or private college through an affidavit stating that they have filed an application to legalize their immigration status or will do so as soon as possible. Students who qualify for the California DREAM Act can apply for several different grants, scholarships, and waivers. Similar to FAFSA, the deadline for maximum eligibility is March 2nd of each year. Now your next question may be, how much aid can I receive? Well, this depends on your financial need. Your financial need is determined through an equation using your expected family contribution, or EFC, and your cost of attendance, COA. Based on what you report from your taxes on FAFSA, you will have a calculated financial amount that you, and possibly your family, are expected to contribute to your education. The EFC is an attempt to measure your ability to pay, not your willingness to pay. This amount is subtracted from your cost of attendance, and this calculates your financial need. Here is an example of a student receiving aid in the 2014-2015 school year. As you can see, they qualified for multiple kinds of aid: a Pell Grant, a subsidized and unsubsidized loan, a Perkins loan, an EOP grant, work study, and a Direct Plus loan. This allows the student to have several options in how they finance their education. In order to continue receiving your financial aid, there are certain expectations you must meet. For example, you must maintain satisfactory academic progress, or SAP, which means that you must have a cumulative GPA, or grade point average, of a 2.0 or higher. This is a C average in all your classes. In addition, you must successfully complete at least 67% of all the units you attempt, and you must also finish your program in a timely manner. It's important that you keep your education as a high priority. Do the best you can so you can maintain your financial aid. If you are not able to meet these expectations, then you may lose your aid until you can change your ways. In special circumstances, such as certain personal events that may have prohibited you from meeting these expectations, schools may possibly extend your financial aid, depending on your situation. Make sure to communicate with the financial aid department for more information if this applies to you. Another question is, how long can I receive aid? Well, you can't get aid forever. Each award has its own limits. For full-time students, Pell Grants can last for 6 years, and Cal Grants can last for 4 years. New unsubsidized loans can last for up to 150% of your program, which means it could last for your entire education and then some. But remember, you have to pay interest on these loans, so the sooner you can pay them off, the better. Once you reach the limits on these awards, you can no longer receive that type of financial aid. So hopefully you were able to finish your degree within the expected time period. Let's talk about scholarships some more. After all, who doesn't like free money? You do have to work for it though. Each scholarship requires its own application, and most of them are granted based on academic merit. That means that you generally need to have a high GPA, and be an academically successful student to qualify. To receive scholarships, students usually need to submit an application, transcripts, an essay, and at least one letter of recommendation. Scholarships come from many different sources, including private foundations. A few examples include FastWeb, the Chicana Latina Foundation, Educators for Fair Consideration, Latino College Dollars, MALDEF, or the Mexican American Legal Defense and Educational Fund, the Rising Farm Worker Dream Fund, and the Hispanic Scholarship Fund. Feel free to make a note of these now so you can research them later for more information. Communicating with the financial aid department on campus is another great resource you can always rely on for help as well. Let's review how students apply for financial aid. Federal student aid is done through an application online at www.fafsa.gov. This application is free, so if you find yourself at a website that is asking for a payment, then you are not at the official U.S. Department of Education FAFSA site. There is no fee to file your FAFSA application. The online FAFSA application is certainly the easiest and quickest way to apply for federal aid. If you prefer a paper application, you may speak with a counselor or the financial aid department to receive a paper copy. Alternatively, students can call 1-800-4-FED-AID or 1-800-433-3243 to request up to 3 copies of the FAFSA paper application. To apply for aid directly from your school, you should contact their financial aid department. Scholarships are advertised in various ways and can also be found through proactive research. More information can be found online through the scholarships or foundation's website. When you are applying for aid, certain applications may ask about your dependency status. They are trying to understand if you are an independent, as in you are financially responsible for yourself, or if you are claimed as a dependent, which means you rely on someone else, most often a parent, to help support you financially. This is important because if you have to independently support yourself, then you may qualify for additional aid because you have more responsibilities to take care of. Filing your FAFSA can sometimes be tricky. This list shows common areas that students make mistakes on. When you are entering your information, please pay careful attention to everything that you enter to avoid making mistakes. By paying close attention to detail and by reviewing your application for accuracy before you submit it, you can make sure that your application will be processed smoothly. If you need clarification on any piece of information that the application is asking for, you can usually click on a help button or a question mark button, which should give more information. If you are still confused, again, you can always reach out to your school's financial aid department for help. After you have submitted your FAFSA, it usually takes about 10 business days for all your information to be processed. Some colleges may ask for additional information. If this is the case, make sure you respond in a timely manner so that your documents can be processed properly. If you have any special circumstances or changes in your life that affect your ability to pay for school, make sure you report these changes on your FAFSA. For example, if you have a change in your employment status, you have medical expenses that are not covered by your insurance, your parents' marital status changes, you have unusual dependent care expenses, or you cannot obtain your parents' information, be sure to communicate these situations with FAFSA to know if they can accommodate to your needs. Thank you for taking time to listen and watch this video. We have another financial aid video available on YouTube if you would like more information. By taking time to plan your finances and educational expenses carefully and applying for aid when possible, this is the best way to ensure that your college career will be a successful one. Thank you, and good luck.